You certainly know this man. He was an art lover with a passionate, if failed, ambition for painting. But the admissions board at the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts didn't agree. They rejected the young Adolf Hitler, deeming him untalented. Disappointed, Hitler eventually found a different path. He still wanted to paint. But this time, he wanted to repaint the map of the world. And so, World War II began. The dictator is now known as the Devil Incarnate, a man guilty of crimes against humanity. But Hitler had his henchmen. One, in particular, was so trusted, so crucial, that Hitler called him his right-hand man, Reinhard Heydrich. The dictator used Heydrich only for the most sensitive and brutal tasks. Because of this, Heydrich's name is tied to every critical, monstrous moment of the Third Reich. He was the man the Allies needed to stop. Today, we tell the story of the mission to break that right hand, the daring, desperate assassination of Reinhard Heydrich. Before we begin, your support is vital. If you appreciate this kind of in-depth historical content, please support the channel by liking this video and subscribing. It truly helps spread these important stories. We deeply appreciate your support. Without further delay, let's get right into the main story. With his tall frame, blonde hair, and cold blue eyes, Reinhard Heydrich looked like a terrifying caricature of the perfect Nazi. One historian would later call him Hitler's most evil henchman. Heinrich Himmler, the infamous head of the SS, simply called him the man everyone envied but no one could beat. Born in 1904, Heydrich was a man of frightening contradictions. He was a talented concert violinist. He was a gifted athlete who competed in swimming and fencing. In 1922, he joined the German Navy and rose to the rank of sub-lieutenant before being dishonorably discharged for a scandalous love affair. Adrift and disgraced, he was recruited in 1931 by Heinrich Himmler, who saw his unique talent for intelligence and ruthlessness. Heydrich's rise in the SS was meteoric. By 1934, he was appointed head of the Gestapo, the terrifying secret police. He was arrogant, and when he held power, he was unbelievably cruel. He was also a notorious womanizer, but despite his vices, he succeeded because he had what mattered: Hitler's absolute trust. Like his boss Himmler, Heydrich knew how to manipulate those around him. He had a precise memory for the weaknesses, political and personal, of others. He was the man the Nazi leadership used for their dirtiest, most sensitive missions. His fingerprints are on every major crime of the Reich. In 1934, he prepared the kill lists for the Night of the Long Knives Purge. In 1938, he helped orchestrate Kristallnacht, the nationwide pogrom against the Jews. And in 1939, it was Heydrich who masterminded the fake Polish attack on a German radio station, the official pretext Hitler used to invade Poland. Well, years later, Heydrich was given his most important assignment, Reich Protector of Bohemia and Moravia, modern-day Czechoslovakia. This was one of the most vital industrial centers for the Nazi war machine, a hub for coal and weapons manufacturing. On the 20th of January 1942, Heydrich, now at the height of his power, chaired a meeting at a luxury villa in Wannsee. The calm, bureaucratic meeting lasted just 90 minutes. The agenda. The final solution to the Jewish question. Heydrich was now, in effect, the chief architect of the Holocaust. He held power over life and death for millions. To the Allies, he was no longer just a target, he was the target. The plan to kill Heydrich was born in London. It was conceived by Edvard Beneš, the exiled president of Czechoslovakia. He bitterly hated the Nazis for the 1938 Munich Agreement, which had allowed Hitler to dismember his country. Beneš lacked an army, but he did not lack volunteers for secret missions. Two names stood out: Josef Gabčík and Jan Kubiš. Like many soldiers, they despised the Germans. But unlike others, they were willing to do the impossible. Their mission was codenamed Operation Anthropoid. Meanwhile, in Prague, Heydrich was solidifying his control. His mission was clear. "We will Germanize the Czech vermin," he told his staff. The Gestapo swept through, arresting thousands, executing intellectuals and suspected resistance members. But Heydrich was cleverer than his predecessor. He played a carrot-and-stick game. While brutally suppressing the resistance, he increased food rations for factory workers, raised pay, and reduced working hours. He cracked down on the black market. Heydrich's tactic worked. Production stabilized. He became a star in Berlin. And this stability terrified the exiled President Benesch. He feared the Czech people were being pacified. He needed a drastic action to provoke Hitler's wrath and reawaken the resistance. In December 1941, Kubisch and Gabčík parachuted into their homeland, but bad weather and snow blew them 80 kilometers off course. They eventually made contact with the local resistance and were smuggled into Prague. They began planning and quickly found Heydrich's fatal flaw: arrogance. The resistance reported that Heydrich traveled the same route every day in an open-top, unarmored Mercedes and without an armed escort. He believed the Czech people wouldn't dare touch him. The team studied his route for weeks, finally choosing a steep, sharp hairpin turn, a spot where the car had to slow down. Worse, the Gestapo actually intercepted a warning about the mission. Heydrich was advised to use an armored car and escorts. He refused. He believed it would damage the Reich's prestige. His arrogance had sealed his fate. Morning, May 27th, 1942. Heydrich was relaxed. He was scheduled to fly to Berlin to meet Hitler later that day, expecting a promotion. He had breakfast with his family and then climbed into his open-top Mercedes. Miles away, the assassination team was in position at the turn. At 10:32 a.m., the signal was given. Heydrich's Mercedes approached the turn and slowed down, just as a tram full of passengers pulled up. Gabčík jumped into the road, aimed his Sten submachine gun at Heydrich, and pulled the trigger. Nothing. The gun jammed. Heydrich made his second fatal mistake. Instead of ordering his driver to speed away, he stopped the car, stood up, and drew his pistol to fight. Seizing the moment, Kubisch ran from the other side and threw a modified anti-tank grenade at the car. The grenade missed, exploding against the side of the car right by the rear wheel. The blast shattered the car. Heydrich and his driver, stunned, jumped out. Heydrich, now bleeding, staggered back to the car, collapsed over the hood, and shouted, "Get those dogs!" Gabčík and Kubisch split up and fled. The driver chased Kubisch, but Kubisch fired his pistol into the air, scattering the crowd, and escaped on a bicycle. Gabčík was chased by Heydrich himself, who fired several shots before collapsing from his injuries. Gabčík hid in a butcher shop and escaped. A civilian truck was flagged down, and the bleeding butcher of Prague was loaded into the back, rushed to the nearest hospital. The shrapnel had torn through his 11th rib, punctured his stomach, and dragged horsehair and steel wire from the car's upholstery into his spleen. His life was in the balance. Within hours, Hitler heard the news. His rage was absolute. He ordered savage reprisals. Thousands of Czech civilians were arrested, and all political prisoners were to be shot. A 1 million mark reward was offered. In the hospital, Heydrich's wound became infected. Hitler's personal doctor was flown in, but the infection was too severe. 8 days after the attack, Heydrich died. Hitler gave him a grand state funeral in Berlin, calling him a man with an iron heart, and then the real storm began. The Gestapo, the very organization Heydrich had built, unleashed hell. Their first target, Jews. 3,000 Jews were sent from Prague to camps. Then, on the day of Heydrich's funeral, SS troops surrounded the small village of Lidice. They executed every man and boy over 15. The women were sent to concentration camps. The children were gassed or sent to SS families to be Germanized. The SS then burned Lidice, dynamited the ruins, and erased it from the map. Kubisch, Gabčík, and 5 other paratroopers were hidden by a local priest in the crypt of a cathedral in Prague. They were desperate, trapped, and horrified by the reprisals they had caused. Then came the betrayal. On June 13th, the Nazis offered amnesty and the 1 million mark reward. One of the paratroopers, Karol Czerda, pressured by his family, walked into Gestapo headquarters. Within hours, he told them everything. At 4 a.m., 700 elite SS troops stormed the cathedral. Kubisch and 2 others died defending the main hall. The other 4, including Gabčík, were trapped in the crypt. The SS tried to flood them out with fire hoses. After a 6-hour gun battle, knowing they were beaten, the last 4 men used their final bullets on themselves. The reprisals continued. But the mission, while costly, was a profound psychological victory. It proved that the Reich was not invincible, that even Hitler's right-hand man was vulnerable. After the war, Karol Czerda, the betrayer, was tried for treason and executed. When asked why he did it, he reportedly shrugged and said, "I think you would have done the same for 1 million marks." In 1989, Gabčík and Kubisch were declared national heroes. The crypt where they made their last stand is now a national memorial, a testament to the belief that even in the darkest times, the Nazi regime was not impossible to strike. Today, the crypt at the Prague Cathedral is silent, but the bullet holes on its walls still tell a story of what happens when ordinary men decide they can no longer tolerate extraordinary evil. The price of that decision was horrific, but history is written by those who are willing to pay the price. Gabčík and Kubisch knew the mission would likely be their last. They, and the thousands who perished in the reprisals, paid for a single, vital message. Tyrants will bleed, regimes will fall, and the human spirit, even when trapped in a flooded cellar, will never surrender. What are your thoughts on this operation? Let us know in the comments below, and if you value these stories, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.